Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I was just saying I'm such a huge fan of the show, which you probably just hear constantly. But yeah, congratulations on everything that you have going on.
No, thank you. It's been really surreal, and the show really is like, I don't know. I'm a fan of all the cast on it and all the crew and the people that made it. Like, I just feel so lucky to have been a part of something that's, I think, pretty fun.
Yeah, so fun. You're such a great comedic actress, but also in like the more serious parts as well, which we can get into. But how was the experience for you? Because it first was released on CBC, so it's mainly, I would guess, Canadians that are watching the show. But then it gets added to Netflix, and now it's just growing. So how has that been for you to just witness all of that?
I mean, it's so funny because, you know, from the beginning, I always knew it was like a Netflix production. Like, it was a co-production between APT and CBC and Netflix. And as we were filming it, it's like, okay, this is going to end up on Netflix. And, you know, it comes out in Canada. It's like, oh yeah, it'll eventually land on Netflix. And now that it's actually there, it's so weird.
And in the top 10.
It's so surreal because it's kind of felt like almost in a way Canada's little secret of a show that, you know, now the rest of the world gets to see and enjoy, I hope. And to see it kind of resonate with people internationally, not just in Canada, has been a really special experience as well. You know, of course, I knew people were going to like the show. And, you know, from the moment I read the script, I was like, how could you not? It's fun. It's silly. But for people internationally to relate to it and resonate with it, it's just been really like humbling.
Totally. The only complaint I've ever seen about the show is that the season's just not long enough. Which, so hopefully we get a second, third, and all the seasons of the show for sure.
That's the dream.
I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't watched the show already, but you were talking about like when you're reading the script. What was your reaction to the incident that happens in episode 1?
Oh my God. So when I found out about the incident in episode 1, I learned it from the showrunners and the producer. And I kid you not, and maybe I'm a little bit dramatic, but that's fine. I crumpled to the floor and I was like, what? What goes on in your guys' brains? How do you come up with that? It's genius. I want to do this. I want to be a part of this. How can I be a part of this?
That's so sweet.
I mean, when I watched it the first time was maybe the moment that it really sunk in. I got to sit in on the final edits of episode 1, and I pulled my hoodie over my head, closed the drawstrings, and I looked over at the showrunners, and I did like a
yeah.
It goes on for so long.
Yeah.
That bit, it goes on for so long.
It is jaw-dropping for sure. And anyone who hasn't seen it is like, what are you talking about? So an incentive to go and watch the show.
Go check it out.
Yeah, I was watching it with my fiance and we were both like, this is episode 1. Like, what can happen after this? That's so wild. How do you feel like you're most like Siaja, and how do you feel like you're like least like her character?
I think I'm most like Siaja, probably in her ambition and wanting to just kind of do something that serves the community and serves a larger purpose. I really related to that immediately. It was like, all right, take the risk and go for it. I would say I'm maybe least like Siaja in how impulsive she is. I think her and I are both quite like anxious people. My anxiety kind of like sits in my stomach and it bubbles deep inside of me and it's so internal. But Siaja's anxiety is so at the surface and it's constantly buzzing, and you really feel it throughout the season of just her being like, how do I fix this mistake that I made? But that's, I think, part of what makes her journey really fun, and her such an interesting character to watch. So there were like moments where I was like deeply connected with Siaja and I was like, girl, I get you. And then other times I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah,
get it together.
Not the decisions that you might be making. How is that then for you to deal with anxiety and nerves and all of those things, especially when tackling a lot of those harder conversations? And yeah,
I mean, I think there's also like family dynamics and stuff, and the pressure of expectation that I really related to with Siaja. And We filmed this show in my hometown, so I was surrounded by family and people that I grew up with, and having to do these really like deeply embarrassing and awkward things in front of an entire community did make me truly anxious and did make me blush and nervous. So I, felt really kind of grounded and immersed and not by choice method acting with this role. But I feel like kind of added an extra layer for me. But also just like such a supportive cast and crew and the team that made this, we were all really kind of in it together and we were all figuring things out. Filming in Iqaluit is such a challenge in and of itself. It's not a town built for film and television and definitely not the size of our production. So we all just really leaned into one another, and whether we were on screen or off screen, we just got to kind of go like, whew, all right, getting through the day.
Yeah. Totally. How is it being able to share different parts of your hometown and your culture on such a giant platform?
I think it's been, I love Iqaluit. I love Iqaluit. I love where I'm from. And I love Nunavut. And so for people to be able to see the beauty of the North and of our community and our warmth and how welcoming we are and that we're so vibrant and our culture is very much alive and our language is very much alive has been so special, because I think so many people have this idea of the North as, being empty and cold and dark and nobody lives up there. It's impossible to live up there. And so to be able to show the North as it truly is, and for people to be like, wow, now I want to go see it. Now I want to visit. How can I learn more about it? Has been just really exciting, because it's like, oh, now you get to see what we've always known in the way that we understand it. And I'm happy to see kind of the perspective of the North change. And how people see our communities is changing, and that was always something that I was excited about with this show, and to see it, actually happening has been really cool.
Yeah, and to be able to educate people and through like a comedic lens too, I can imagine is cool.
Yeah, comedy is such a great kind of platter to serve this information on, because people are just, they're watching the show and it's very lighthearted and it's very fun, and the characters are very quirky, and you don't, I think, realize sometimes that you're learning something about this place or about these people. I mean, maybe you do, because I'm sure for some people it's quite a culture shock to see this show and be like, oh my gosh, wow, I didn't know anything about this. But to see like a very human experience while being laced with education, not just about like contemporary Inuit life, but what's happened to us throughout history and why our communities experience what they experience and why they are the way they are, I think is through comedy is so important, because Inuit have been through so much trauma and colonial trauma, and the way that we've managed and the way that we've coped is through humor. And so getting to kind of share that sort of like, laughter is universal kind of thing, with these sort of educating points is been, yes, I think such a great way to do it.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like there's still a lot of misconceptions about Inuit people, that either in like movies or just, in everyday life?
I mean, it's been really funny. I think there's people that have been like, I've seen some comments and some reviews, and I know I shouldn't read the reviews, whatever. But, some people that are like, I don't know if this is actually authentic. This isn't how I understand the North. Read the room. Take in what you're watching. Take it in, because this is an Inuit made show from Inuit showrunners with a very large Inuit and Indigenous cast that really made sure to do things right, and just accept it as it is, because this is our truth that we're giving you. And I think there are still like misconceptions, and there is still, it's still a lot more common to see Inuit as a historical people than as a modern people in film and television. But that is changing. And I think, being able to do it in such a broad range of genres, from really dark and gritty like True Detective. I loved doing True Detective. night country was such a wonderful experience, and there was so much care that went into that, and that experience is real. But so is the other end of the spectrum with North of North. That warmth, that brightness, that vibrancy is also real. And I think being able to show that Inuit, that northern peoples and that indigenous peoples exist in such a broad way, and there's no like one truth, has been really important, and I think we're going to see more of that in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I know that you're a fashion girly. You love fashion. And there's so many good looks in this show as well. Is there like a particular item or look that you wore that stands out for you?
I mean, Enoch Bridgerton, that dress,
Yeah.
episode 6 opener, that dress was just so special. It was, Enoch Bridgerton, the concept came from the mind of Stacey Auklick MacDonald, one of the showrunners, and being able to bring it to life, which with kind of like that era of dress from Bridgerton, while also kind of Enochifying it and adding the fur and adding the beads, and having a beautiful like copper kaugutik, was so special. I felt like such a princess. That kind of like glittering blue and pink on the tundra um, was just so stunning. And that for me is like a standout in the show. I also really loved, it was not something that I wore, but Nuliaya, who's the sea goddess that we see in the water, her outfit was designed by Nux Lindell, who also worked with Deborah Hansen, our head of costume, on the Bridgerton outfit. But kind of seeing the way that he pulled so much from traditional Inuit clothing and, changed up a little bit, and all the ways that throughout the entirety of the show, there's like that bridge of like traditional to modern, which is how we dress up north now. Like, what you're seeing in the show, the way the girlies are dressing it up, the girls do that. Yeah. And I always, you go to the grocery store and you see someone and you're like, wow, you look good. You look really good. So it's, there's no exaggeration in the costuming of the show, which I love. I think is great.
Yeah, that's so great. And now you're going to be in a movie with Brad Pitt and J.K. Simmons. That's insane. How has that whole experience been so far? Where are you at with it?
I mean, I don't know what I can and cannot say, right. So I'm not going to say too much, but it's really cool. I mean, every kind of like point in my career, not that I set my expectations low. That's not the right wording, but I am very open to whatever comes next, and very open to what the universe brings, because it hasn't really led me astray so far. And every new project just kind of sounds so actory. Every new project kind of feels like a gift.
No, take it. It is though. Yeah, it totally is. That's so sweet. What did you grow up watching? Like, were there movies that inspired you to make you want to get into acting?
I mean, not particularly. Like I loved movies, and there's like, like Bridesmaids and Pitch Perfect. Like those movies did numbers in the Lambe household, and those are movies that me and my siblings and my dad quote regularly. We weren't like a kind of highbrow film family. We were very much just a fun film, kind of whatever comes up kind of family. And I've been actually quite grateful for it, because as I've gone into this industry, everything that I do, my parents are just like, yay. And, as the years have gone on and they've gotten to see a little bit more of what I do, and with North of North, they got to visit the set, they understand my job just a little bit better. So it's just, it was never a plan. It was never even really a dream until it suddenly became a career, and it was like, oh, okay, I guess this is where life's taking me.
That's wild. And that's so nice that they can kind of join you on that journey too.
Yeah, it's been fun for all of us. I think we get to share the celebration, and, North of North had a billboard in Times Square, which is the most like surreal thing, I think, that in my career so far that I've gotten to experience. But they came to see it, and we all just kind of had a little tear in the eye and went like, wow. So that's real.
Yeah, you did it.
let's go get lunch.
Crazy. Amazing. Thank you so much. A pleasure to chat with you, and congrats again on everything.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, tell Brad Pitt I say hi.
Will do.
Thank you.